You say the one movement and the one party. Could you just describe what you mean by that? Or
Sure. So if you look at our world, just to give an idea, like we're trying to fight for civil rights. This idea of equality has been fought for everywhere throughout every pretty much society, and is going on right now. And it's always the minorities, the some group that in America we see, you know people of color, they say, in India it's the untouchables, you know what I mean, in China it's anybody that's not Chinese, whatever it may be, you know what I mean. So this idea of equality and equal rights for everyone is something that, again, I've studied all of human history, and it seems like we've been fighting this battle since the very beginning. You know what I mean? It's like everybody can't just begin to say, oh, this ethnic, let's fight for this ethnic group's rights, and then the next one and the next one. Either we're all equal or we're not. You know what I mean? We need to fight for all of our equal rights at the same time all over the world, and it makes us that much more powerful. So when I talk about the one movement, this is all the biggest issues of the world kind of joining, and it doesn't mean you stop these organizations all around, you just join them together, right? So then it's equal rights for everyone all around the world, and all the equal rights movements join together, and then we can help support each other. And once we have some type of unity, you know what I mean? It's like, look at this. In all of human history, we've never had an uprising where everybody in the world kind of does it at the same time, except in the last like 5 or 10 years or so. You know what I mean? You've seen these spontaneous, like the Wall Street one, right? It started in Wall Street, then it showed up in the Middle East and showed up here and there. You see these civil rights right now with the Black Lives Matter, showed up in England, showed up in, you know what I mean? This is the first time this has ever happened, and it happened like that. You know what I mean? This is the only time in human history that we can make these changes is happening right now, because we're all so focused. Let me just stop for a second. All the horror that's happening right now is really to get all these changes to happen, because if we don't, we're not going to make it. Okay, we're going to go into another horrible war and repeat the history over and over again. But our technology and the horrors that we can deliver with robotic war, nuclear war, poisons and chemicals and everything else is so unbelievably horrific that we're going to destroy too much of our society and people and everything else. So either we're going to kind of all wake up right now and make some global changes to get on the same page, or it seems like we're going to go down this horrible path again. So the one movement is about kind of joining all these people together and making these changes as a movement throughout the world. The one party is about a literal political party. It can start in America, but I wanted to kind of go all over the world. And it's about making government work, period. It's, forget the fringe issues for a minute. It's about integrating all the virtues that we hold dear into our government, efficiency, making sure that we're not spending money that we don't have, and all the rest of the problems that we see. And again, in America, we need a third party because we're in this two-team, red-blue war type situation. It's like it plays on our us versus them kind of tribal mentality, where if there's only two, it's like, just look at American sports. It's like football or baseball, whatever. If your local team has lost for 30 years, you're still a fan, right? You're still like, yeah, my team, right? That's what we have right now. And that's wrong in politics. We need to all be working towards the best solution. So the one party is about that. It's about making sure that the people in government are truly working for us and implementing the solutions that make government work, but also make the society work. Government can't do everything. You know what I mean? We make business work for us. We need to make people, help them have better lives so they can become their best selves and all the rest. So that's basically the kind of the idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It kind of goes back to, you mentioned it, the historical tendency to, do these us versus them conflicts,
Yeah.
And I suppose one of the solutions to that is, just to help people understand that, amongst most people in the world, basically everyone in the world, we have more in common with everybody than we do. There's more similarities than there are differences between everybody.
And just to speak to that point, that's kind of the foundation of the way. Is that while we all are very unique, right? We occupy our own space-time, right? We're think differently, we look differently, speak different languages, different genders, all these kind of things. At the same time, all that's true. We all need to eat and sleep and communicate and interact with our society, and we do mainly the same things every day. That's what the foundations of life are called in here. we all need to understand certain principles if we're going to be the best we are. We also need to take care of our bodies in a certain way if we're going to be our best. We also need to interact with other people in our society and help formate, help our work evolve, help our government evolve, and all the rest of it if we're going to live a great life. So to get there, though, since we're born ignorant, we all need to kind of have the basic knowledge. And that's the biggest problem in our society that I see, is that we all share all these similarities, but we're not integrating the best practices. Maybe I should say this. The way, in 4 words, is living rational positive action. It's living because we do it all the time. It's something you live, right? It's living rational because it's reasonable, it's logical, it's a customizable implementation plan that is your life, So it's living rational positive because it's about integrating virtue into your life. And virtues are what we hold in highest regard. These are, like being disciplined and faithful and positive and happy and healthy and all the rest of the desirable traits that you can imagine. There's a huge list of them. They're in the book, that we're trying to all master. And then it's living rational positive because to make a virtue real, you need to take steps to make it into your life. And we call these like the best ones, the best practices. So for example, the virtue of being punctual would require you to take steps and actions like leaving on time, setting reminders. To live the virtue of being healthy, you need to eat right and have an exercise program and all these other action items, right? And there's best practices in there. There's certainly there are ways to consume water that will make you better, consume light, and all the rest of those aspects. So if we can integrate these as kids and help our kids grow this way, and we can get this knowledge for us, we can improve ourselves, our society as we go forward. And that's kind of the idea. And it spans so many different aspects of life. And this is what made the way so complicated for me, is because for you to be your best, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in your work, in your relationships, in your society, you need to integrate so many little pieces of information in all these different genres to be your best. And who wants to spend their time reading 1,000 books and going through all this crazy stuff? By the time you're 30, 40 years old, you're like, wow, I just realized something that I should have known when I was 10. It's like, it just makes me sick. And I spent so much time reading all of these books to come to some realizations, to simplify it so we can all just integrate it without like, oh, I have to study Freud for 15 years to understand how my mind works. No, you don't. You know what I mean? The same thing with your body or the way the society works, or wealth or power, success, whatever you name it, it's in here. So for me, again, it all comes down to us kind of being on the same page regarding these basics and foundations of life. And I put a challenge out there, and I haven't heard anybody disagree with anything that's in this book yet. Okay, so they may not like, because I'm not a super great writer sometimes. I mean, people said they really like the way I write. Let me say it to you this way. I went into a lot of different publishers with this book. They had a group of them, and they had this meeting, and they said, this book is like no other book that they've ever seen written. They've never, I don't know if anybody would ever write a book like this. So it was a trip to them. They were like, they weren't sure if they should publish it, but it was so unique that they felt like they should. So this isn't a book like other books. This is humanity's way of becoming our best and creating a better world. It's simplified and giving you the down low without having to spend the rest of your life trying to figure all this stuff out. I did it. So save you a lot of time.